I have a question for you. When was the last time you checked to see if roots were growing in your sewer? Probably never, right? Well, if you don't know if any are growing, you really should, because they can cause some major damage. Plumbing maven Linda Stanfield from Ben Franklin Plumbing is here to help us prevent one of the most expensive emergency calls that you will get, and that's, of course, a clogged drain.
Nobody wants to have that problem.
Nobody wants that, and especially when it's caused by roots
Yes.
in your drain. How common is that?
It's really very, very common. People are quite surprised because the drains are underneath the ground. You can't really see what's happening, and it can happen slowly and then all of a sudden become a nightmare.
So what are we talking about? Are we talking about a big root or a small?
Well, they could be both. We've had big root balls that come up and all of a sudden they clog, or we have a lot of small items. So this is just a little sample of a drain. It just takes a little tiny crack, and when we get nutrients from the rain that we're having now with monsoon, they love it, and they just get in that crack and they just spread like crazy. And so small roots can become a lot.
When you showed me this, I was so surprised at just that little tiny little twig.
It just takes a little tiny
twig
bit
and poke a hole right there.
Yeah, oleanders, ficus trees, pine trees, all of those can just get in a little tiny small area and get really massive.
And just what you said about the rain, and so many people dealing with rain over this holiday weekend, and it's making those twigs go.
Oh, they just love it. They just love it.
So how do we fix this problem?
You know, there's a lot of different options. The myth is that you always have to get rid of all your trees and shrubs, and that isn't so. What we want to first do is put a camera down there and see what really is the problem. See how intrusive it is. See what we can do. A lot of times we can just cut those roots out, and then we can apply a process called Rootex. Guarantees no roots for a whole year. It's a professional product. We are trained and licensed to be able to use it, and it will guarantee no roots, so you can move on with your regular day.
So how do we know if something like this is going on below the ground? How do we know that it's happening before the emergency happens?
So
Will there be signs?
Yes, a lot of times there are signs. Slowness of flushing, slowness of gurgling in your drains, different things like that. You just get a sense of something being different when you use your disposal and when you use your toilets and your other drains.
Okay, so what are we looking at here?
That is an actual root that came out of somebody's house. Now, people say, how did they not know? Well, they've had a lot of symptoms. That root was bigger than our technician.
You better believe it.
This is called Orangeburg, and so there's a lot of older pipes out there that's actually oil and paper pushed together that makes a drain line system in the olden days. And these are roots that have just you know, probably in a couple of years, just massive. They've probably had clogs, and a plumber would come on out, and what we call it is pop and go, where they would just open it just enough, a small amount to let flow go, but they still had a bad problem. If they would have put a drain camera down like what we have, they would have known exactly what the problem is and be able to budget and plan for it.
And our last photo that we're going to look at is, wow,
that actually was underneath the toilet. So all those roots, they go to the least area of resistance. So when there's an opening at the base of your toilet, they are going and growing all the way there. And so that person had to have a lot of flushing problems and didn't realize what it was.
I can imagine your drain cameras are quite impressive for the homeowner when they see what's happening.
They are wonderful. It's just like looking into your own body and knowing what you have. This can help people plan and budget. It doesn't have to be an emergency.
Wow, there you go. Get that drain camera down there before everything goes pew, and then you have that big
Or
expense.
stops.
Or stops, that's right. But I'm glad you told us the signs to look for. Well, if you have information or maybe an emergency right now, or you want to prevent one, Benjamin Franklin Plumbing has a special offer for you. For the month of July, call and make an appointment for a free main sewer line camera inspection. The number to call to book your appointment, 602-382-0013. You can also go online at benfranklinplumbingaz.com.